Getting off the cruise ship should be the easiest part of your vacation. But when thousands of passengers all try to use the same elevators, collect their luggage, clear customs, and request an Uber at exactly the same time, departure morning can quickly become a complete mess. We've seen passport lines stretch across the terminal. We've waited nearly 2 hours when the customs system unexpectedly went down. And we've watched elevator after elevator arrive completely full while passengers stood there holding all their luggage trying to go down. But we've also learned several ways to make the entire process much faster. One of them involves taking the elevator in the wrong direction. Another involves bringing a birth certificate, even when you're traveling with a passport. And another can potentially move you through the cruise terminal much faster when you have several pieces of luggage. Here are our best strategies for getting off a Royal Caribbean ship as quickly and as easily as possible. Welcome back to Travel with Nick and Tony. We cruise frequently, and because we live in the middle of the country, almost every cruise requires us to catch a flight home afterwards. That means disembarkation day matters. The last thing we want is to end an amazing cruise stressed out in a customs line, wondering whether we're going to miss our flight. These tips are based on what has worked for us, but every ship and cruise terminal operates a little differently. Always follow the instructions provided by the cruise line, the terminal employees, and customs officials. With that said, your departure strategy should actually begin the night before you leave the ship. Don't wait until departure morning to start packing your entire stateroom. The night before you leave, pull your suitcases out from under the bed and spend 20 minutes packing almost everything. Put away the clothes you won't need, your extra shoes, your souvenirs, and everything else that's accumulated around the room. Leave out only what you'll need that evening and the following morning. That usually means a change of clothes, your toiletries, your phone charger, and anything else you'll need to get ready. We also recommend checking every drawer, the safe, the closet, the bathroom shelves, every electrical outlet, and the space underneath the bed. People frequently leave charging cables plugged in next to the bed because they're hidden behind the nightstand. Once everything's packed, put your travel documents, medications, wallet, keys, and anything valuable somewhere secure, but don't place them inside luggage you plan to check. You should always keep those items with you. Packing the night before means that departure morning doesn't have to feel rushed. You can wake up, get breakfast, return to the room, collect the few items you left out, and leave. It's a much better ending to the cruise than throwing everything into a suitcase while worrying that you've forgotten something. Your final night on the ship is still part of your vacation, and there's nothing wrong with going out and enjoying it. But remember that departure morning comes very early. If you plan to use self-assist departure, you may be getting out of bed around 5:30 or 6 in the morning. That's not the night when I would stay out partying until 2 in the morning or drink so much that I wake up feeling terrible. I can hardly think of a worse way to end the cruise than dragging several suitcases through a crowded terminal while you're feeling exhausted and hungover. And then you still have to sit in a car, navigate an airport, go through security, and potentially spend several hours on a flight home. Enjoy the final evening, but have a plan. Finish packing, drink some water, get some sleep, and make the following morning easy on yourself. You will be very glad you did it when that alarm goes off. Before you go to bed, open the Royal Caribbean app and review your onboard account. Make sure every charge is correct and verify that you don't have an outstanding balance that still needs to be resolved. If there's a problem, address it that evening. Don't wait until you're standing at the gangway with all your luggage. If your account has been flagged because of an unpaid balance or another issue, you may not be allowed to leave until it's resolved. And on departure morning, the line at guest services can become extremely long. Take 2 minutes the night before, review your statement, and deal with any surprises before thousands of other passengers are trying to leave. Royal Caribbean generally gives you 2 options for your luggage. You can put your larger suitcases outside of your stateroom on the final night. The crew will take them into the terminal, and you will collect them after leaving the ship. Or you can choose self-assist departure and carry everything off yourself. We almost always carry our own luggage. It gives us control over when we leave, and we don't have to wait for a luggage tag number to be called. But self-assist departure only works if you can safely manage everything you brought. Remember that you may encounter crowded hallways, packed elevators, ramps, escalators, and long walks through the terminal. If you cannot comfortably handle every suitcase without assistance, just put your luggage out the night before. Saving a little time is not worth falling on an escalator or injuring yourself. But if you can manage your luggage, self-assist departure is generally the fastest way to leave the ship. If you've got a flight to catch or simply want to leave as quickly as possible, get off the ship early. On many of our cruises, self-assist departure has started somewhere around 6:30 or 7 in the morning. The exact time changes depending on the itinerary, the port, and when the ship receives permission to begin disembarkation. Listen to the announcements and follow the departure instructions provided on board. But once the ship has cleared, the first part of self-assist departure can move remarkably quickly. The elevators are less crowded, the hallways are easier to navigate, there are fewer people inside the terminal, and rideshare demand may not have reached its peak. The most difficult period is often around 8 to 9 o'clock in the morning, when a large portion of the ship is trying to leave at the same time. On a smaller ship, that is inconvenient. On one of Royal Caribbean's largest ships, that can mean thousands of people moving through the same few areas. If you've got a tight schedule, do not sleep until the last possible minute and then join the largest crowd in the morning. Be packed, be ready, and get off early. Now this may be one of our most useful departure day tricks. Take the elevator in the wrong direction. If your stateroom is on a high deck and you need an elevator to reach the gangway, pressing the down button may get you nowhere. Every elevator going down may already be completely full. The doors open, no one can get inside, the doors close, and you continue waiting. Instead, press the up button. Get into an elevator that is still traveling upward, ride it towards the top of the ship, and remain inside when it begins traveling back down. Yes, you will briefly travel in the wrong direction, but when the elevator turns around, you will already be inside. This can be especially helpful when you've got luggage and you can't safely use the stairs. Now here's a tip we recently learned from a cruise terminal employee in Los Angeles. We always just travel with our passports. A passport is still the best travel document to bring because it gives you much more protection if something goes wrong in another country or you unexpectedly need to fly home. But there's no reason that someone can't also bring their birth certificate if you have it handy. When we returned to Los Angeles, the passport line was incredibly long. The facial recognition system usually makes the passport line pretty fast, but that morning it took us approximately 25 minutes. Meanwhile, almost nobody was waiting in the birth certificate line. The terminal employee who works in that area every day told us that this happens frequently because almost everyone automatically enters the passport line. Her recommendation was to bring both documents when your sailing qualifies. Use your passport to board the cruise, but keep your eligible birth certificate documentation available when you disembark. When you enter the customs area, ask the employees whether you're eligible to use the birth certificate line, and that line is usually shorter. It may save you a considerable amount of time. We're not suggesting that anyone cruise without a passport, but we are suggesting that bringing both documents when your itinerary permits it and using the shorter line when eligible may save you quite a bit of time. If you checked your luggage the night before, or if you simply have several large suitcases, consider using one of the porters inside the cruise terminal. The porter will place your luggage on a cart and help you move it through the terminal. At most ports, porters also have a designated route that can move much faster than the general line. That can save a significant amount of time when the terminal is crowded. This varies by port and by how the terminal is operating that morning, so it's not guaranteed. But if you enter the luggage area and see a long customs line, just ask a porter if they can assist you. We always bring a little cash so we can tip them. If you plan on using a rideshare, start checking the apps while you're moving through the terminal. Don't immediately request a vehicle, but first compare the prices, look at the estimated wait times, and determine which service has better availability. You also need to know the designated rideshare pickup area. Some cruise terminals allow rideshare drivers to pick you up near the exit. Others direct you to a different area of the port. If you request the ride too early, your driver may arrive while you're still waiting for customs. That driver might cancel or you may be charged a waiting fee. Use the customs line to check availability and plan your ride. Then, request the vehicle when you are approaching the pickup area and are confident that you can reach it on time. Even when you do everything correctly, circumstances outside your control can delay the entire terminal. We once returned from a cruise in Fort Lauderdale after lightning affected the customs building. The electronic facial recognition machines were not working, so passengers had to be processed manually. The terminal was not prepared to move that many people through a manual process. It took us almost 2 hours to get out. Now, that's a very unusual situation, but unusual things happen when you travel. The ship can arrive late, customs may not clear the ship immediately, the facial recognition system can stop working, there can be a traffic accident between the port and the airport, and thousands of passengers may request rides at exactly the same time. This is why we do not recommend booking a flight that only works if every part of departure goes perfectly. If you absolutely must take an earlier flight, use the self-assist departure, leave the ship as soon as you're permitted, and understand that there is still some risk. Your flight home should have enough flexibility to accommodate a reasonable delay. Missing a flight is an awful way to end a vacation, especially when you've got to work the following morning. So to recap, our departure strategy is simple. Pack almost everything the night before. Enjoy your final evening, but remember how early the next morning begins. Review your onboard account before going to sleep. Use self-assist departure if you can safely manage your luggage. Get off the ship early if you've got a flight to catch. If every downward elevator is full, ride up before riding down. Consider bringing both your passport and eligible birth certificate documentation if your itinerary allows it. Consider using a porter inside the terminal. Check rideshare availability before reaching the curb. And never schedule your trip home under the assumption that departure morning will go perfectly. These strategies cannot eliminate every possible delay, but they can help you avoid the most common departure day bottlenecks and make the final morning of your vacation considerably less stressful. What is the longest it's ever taken you to get off a cruise ship? And do you have a departure day trick that we missed? Let us know in the comments, because your experience may help someone else prepare for their next cruise. If you found this video useful, please go ahead and give it a like, and subscribe to Travel with Nick and Tony for more cruise strategies, ship reviews, and ways to make the most of your vacation. We'll see you on the next cruise.